pal Jizzo here, and we've been talking a little bit on my spontaneous nightmare life coaching sessions about booking agents and being your own producer and being your own boss and singing your own tracks and et cetera, et cetera. So I thought what would be cool is to actually get a real booking agent on the program, on the channel, and we can talk a little bit about what a booking agent does, what he doesn't do, all the misconceptions, yada, yada, yada. So I got my boy Alex Grossi here from Big Time Entertainment, and here he is.
What's going on, buddy?
You are a licensed booking agent, are you not?
Yes, I am. I work for a licensed company out here in Las Vegas. We book a lot of bands that we're all in and talk about and all friends with. And I've been doing it for about 11 years now.
Okay, about 11 years. Most people don't know that you are a booking agent. Most people think that you're just the guitar player in Quiet Riot, but you've actually, as you said, had this second job for 11 years booking bands. Most people don't really know what a booking agent does. So why don't you encapsulate kind of what you do as a booking agent?
I mean, essentially what a booking agent is a salesman. We sell attractions and artists and shows to people that put on shows. And we broker the deals. We negotiate the deals for the band on the band's behalf. And basically when you hire an agent, you're paying for their Rolodex, if you will, their contacts and their relationships. And that's what we do. We build relationships with these people that book clubs, festivals, fairs, casinos, private events. And when we get an artist that we feel fits one, we try to make the connection and work off commission, basically.
Which is 10%.
Yes.
So let's just say that you have an imaginary band and you're going to book them for, let's say, $3,000. Walk me through it.
Okay, so the whole process is this. Let's say I get the band the gig for $3,000. The first thing I do, I get the offer from the venue. The venue wants the band on this date for this much money. I bring it to the artist and I say, you've got this offer. Do you want to take it? Yes or no? If they say yes, I then go back to the talent buyer, the venue, and confirm it, at which time we run a contract on it to protect both the client and the venue. Once the contract is signed, we generally take a 50% deposit. So in that case, it'd be $1,500. We hold that money in an escrow account. Once the show plays and plays successfully, we release the balance to the artist. They would have picked up the other half at the gig. So you get 50% sent to the agency, and the balance picked up, on site.
So what's the purpose of getting 50% up front?
It's to protect everybody. It's to make sure that the promoter doesn't advertise and just sell tickets and not pay anybody. And it's also to make sure the artist is covered when they rent their van or buy their flights or whatever. It's kind of a show of faith agreement, standard across the board.
What don't you do? What doesn't a booking agent do? What are the misconceptions?
Okay, well, our job is to simply execute the contract and get the funds in place. What we don't do is book the hotel rooms, book the transportation. We don't post flyers for the band. We don't market it. We just do the deal. It's up to the band and the promoter to promote it, be it social media or paid ads or whatever. But we put the deal in place, and then from there, it's on them to do the rest.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because a lot of times there are misconceptions about what you guys do. And in my on my channel, I've been talking about people being self-sufficient in this business, trying to hustle, trying to do your own work. And sometimes people think that booking agents book the flights, book the transportation. That's not on you guys. You guys basically strike the deal for the money, and that's it.
Yes. We broker the deal, set it up, get all the deal points in place, and enforce that. Like for example, if the show's a week away and the promoter's not giving you your hotel information, my job is to call and remind them that they contractually agreed to the hotels and gently tell them to do it. I mean, I can't make them book them, but I can remind them that's what they agreed to.
Right.
That's where
Right.
agents will have to step in and whatnot. Yeah.
And this is where having the relationships with the venues, the clubs, the festivals, and stuff like this comes into play, because you're working with a lot of people that you work with all the time. So you're calling up the same guy at the
Yeah.
Indian casino or the county fair or the venue. So you have a relationship with this guy.
As an agent, you're held to a very high standard because you're handling money and people are trusting you with their travel and their schedules and their livelihood. So you have to do a good job and do the right thing.
Here's a subject that we're going to try not to, because we've talked off camera
Mm.
about some of this stuff. How should bands approach an agent if they want to be booked by them? You know what I mean? What should they say? What shouldn't they say? How do you get an agent to want to book you, basically, if you're a smaller band, just starting out?
Well, I think a lot of bands, I think the biggest misconception is a lot of bands think that they can just get an agent and hit the ground running and go. But you need to work up to being able to be bookable and be viable. If you're a brand new band that's never played out, I can't help you. You need to do the door deals and build the fan base and do the work on your own by calling in these smaller clubs to the point where it's worth it for me to get on the phone for you, because I don't get paid unless you get paid. So if your band's worth nothing, then 10% of nothing is nothing. So
Well, this is where we get into the thing about bands that will call you and tell you how good they are. You need to book me because we're the best band in Wichita. We're the best band in Las Vegas. We're the best. But being the best, obviously, A, is subjective.
It's subjective, yeah.
And B, you have to show that you are worthy of being bookable.
Yeah. There's really, really good bands that don't work because they don't make anybody any money. At the end of the day, it's the music business. And these venues care about two things: selling tickets and selling booze.
Right.
If your band plays at a club, no matter how good or not good you may think you are, or others may think you are, and that club rings in a $5,000 bar, they're going to have you back and they're going to pay you more next time. Some really bad bands out there that make a lot of money because they have people drinking and dancing and paying to get in. It's a business,
Yeah, that's the thing it isn't really based on talent. It should be in a perfect world, but the thing is there are a lot of talented guys out there that don't sell tickets because they don't know how to hustle.
We live in Las Vegas. There's 10 different bands playing the same set list every night on Fremont Street or lobbying for that position. It's the ones that get up early, that show up, that are really easy to work with, that are gracious, that get in, get out, and draw their crowd and know their place. It's when these guys start getting a little bit of notoriety and all of a sudden they think they should be playing the Staples Center or the Allegiant Stadium, and you got to kind of knock them down. And let's put it this way. Bands watch the dirt and they watch behind the music, so they think that, Motley Crue did it. We can be rock stars. Even Motley Crue doesn't act like Motley Crue anymore. It's a different time now. You got to be a pro. You got to be, show up sober, on time.
That's a good way of putting it, because we both live in Vegas. I see bands hang out at clubs and stuff, and what they're doing is they're trying to hustle. They're trying to network and get themselves known, and opening slots leading to better slots, leading to better slots, leading to headline slots and stuff like that. But what you can't do is you can't be a up. You can't start fights with people. You can't get really drunk and be an idiot.
Any kind of drama whatsoever. I mean, people, they want you to show up, make them as much money as possible, put on a great show, keep people drinking, keep people in the, because I mean, another thing with Vegas and any major market, there's 10 different options every weekend night. What's going to make me stay at this venue? Well, this band's putting on a good show, put together a really tight show and make people want to book it again, because it's easy. It's all about being easy.
Young bands starting out have to prove themselves. You know what I mean? You got to prove yourself. How do you get an opening slot on a tour?
with opening slots nowadays, it's really come down to there's two different kinds of opening slots. There's the kind of band that is put on to help ticket sales because they genuinely have a legitimate draw, and they're going to add 20%, 30% of the room every night, and they'll get a smaller fee to open. The other side of it is the buy-on band. When you go to see a huge stadium show and there's this band going on at 7 o'clock that nobody's heard of, that means somebody, whether it's a billionaire member of the band paying for them to be there, or their label, but they're paying anywhere from $2 to $5 grand a night to open for Metallica or Pantera.
A lot of time it's rich parents. I mean, let's just
Rich
cut through the
parents,
shit.
rich band members. Yeah. A great example of the ultimate buy-on of all time, or buy-in, is Taylor Swift. Her dad just cut a big check to the label, said, build my daughter a career. He was a millionaire, and it worked because she delivered a product that people connected to. Other times, bands will buy onto the Kiss tour and go out there, and it's 30 minutes of torture to the audience. And ultimately, the promoters are like, look, I know you're getting paid, we're getting paid, but this is bad. You can't buy it. Either you have it or you don't. You can buy your foot in the door. Once you get there, it's what happens with it. And it can go either way. But
it works sometimes, 80% of the time it doesn't work. But
because they didn't really do it. The bands that you see really build and last are the ones that get the opening slot for whoever at the Brooklyn Bowl or at the House of Blues, and they go out and sell 100 tickets to 100 real people that are going to show up and buy real drinks and pay for real parking, not because they bought a bunch of Facebook likes or TikTok followers or Instagram followers. They went out and hustled and actually did the work. Again, I say, do the work, sell those tickets, because if the House of Blues sees that you brought 100 people, next time they have another band like you coming through that needs some help with sales, they're going to call you.
For you as an agent, obviously you're cold calling some of these places, and it's pretty easy to book a Great White or a Slaughter because of the name because of the brand recognition. They know what they're getting. But what are some of the difficulties in booking unknown bands?
Well, if they're completely unknown, they need to have some sort of a story, whether it's, they just got off tour with this band, or listen, these guys have been selling out, this 500 capacity club. Let's get them in here. They're worth $2 grand a night. They need to have some sort of a story. If I just send them a picture of the band and a link to their Spotify and their Instagram, okay, there's a gazillion bands that look exactly the same, sound the same. Why am I going to choose this version of a derivative Creed band over this version? Well, this one sells 500 tickets in Madison, Wisconsin. No,
that's a good rule of thumb, is that if you want to get booked and move up the food chain, create a story around yourself to where you as the agent can call up and go, oh, this dude was he was shot 9 times. He's got the street cred.
Yeah, that's there's always a thing about a band. When a new band comes out, there's always, especially in the 80s before the internet, where you could really make things up. There's, this guy's, related to so-and-so, and this guy, like Marilyn Manson in the 90s was a king of that. He had all these urban legends about him.
Right.
These guys are in the business to make money. The venue doesn't get a cut of your downloads or your record sales. They get a cut of what you bring in and what's going to be spent at the bar. Starting off, you got to keep that in mind.
That's the unfortunate truth about it. That's why when sometimes we go on Facebook or we talk to people and this and that, and it just seems to be very mercenary. It's all about money. Oh, you're just doing it for the money. What happened to you, man? You're all about the money. It isn't that we're all about the money. We're all about the music. But the business part is such an intrinsic part of it that if you don't pay attention to it and you don't embrace it, you're just going to get left behind. But a lot of these bands, these young kids that don't know the business and don't understand, they have a sense of entitlement. You haven't earned the hammer of the gods yet, but when you get it, it's badass. But for right now, you better get on the phone or get on the internet and start, hustling.
I had this friend of mine in town. He's younger. I think he's like late 20s, early 30s, and he's got a band that's playing locally. And he goes, So I want to get a tour. What do? I go call, to get out a map or go online and figure out where you want to go, how long you want to go there for, and look at each city. There's going to be a venue there that books your kind of music. Call them, email them, send them, and even if you play for the door, you get in there and you make an impression. Oh, I can't, you just can't do it for me, or there isn't someone to do it for me. No, you got to put in the work. You don't just wake up and decide you're going to play in the NFL. You train every morning to be a great football player. This is the same thing.
You really have to master and embrace the art of selling yourself. And we know guys with not much talent that have, by virtue of the fact that they know how to hustle and sell themselves, have done pretty fucking well.
Yeah, it's all about the hustle. It's all about selling yourself and getting it out there. It's not. I know guys that sit in their bedroom and put up YouTube videos of them playing, Pantera solos note for note, and they wonder why no one's calling them. It's because it's not going to come to you in Oklahoma. You gotta. I moved to California. I went on every audition there was. I went to the Whiskey and the Cat Club every other night. Met every dude in every band to get to the point where I could be recognized and join a real band. But I was there in person, shaking hands, pressing flesh, not just sending off an MP3 waiting for it to happen.
Once you do that, once you start doing the self-hustle and the self-promotion, and as you say, creating a story around yourself, the people will start to sniff around all the agents, the local, because there's local agents. There's guys like you that book, the $30,000, the $40,000 a night bands. And there's guys that book the smaller bands. And when they see that you're starting to create a buzz around yourself, they will actually come to you and they will approach you. So it's almost like you don't really have to look for an agent. When you're ready, people are going to come to you.
When you're viable and you're making people money, your phone's going to start to ring.
But once you get to that level, then when you're bookable, you can book tours and stuff like that. And then you get into the whole other thing of how do you get a van? How do you, you know what I mean? You have to learn how to do it. Just call up Enterprise. How much is a van? Call up this place. How much is a van? And then you got to, get the hotels. It's just, that's why you start off slow. For example, in Vegas, play Vegas a couple of times. Then when you're ready, go to Salt Lake City or go to LA. Yeah, you know what I mean? Kind of work within a couple of 100-mile thing. Don't think that you're going to book a 17-state world tour because no one's going to come see you in Ohio because they don't know who the hell you are. So definitely young bands, start play locally, get your shit together locally, and then branch out, to other places.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, don't get overly ambitious and think you're going to tour the whole country. Start regionally and build it, because and you're not gonna, that's how bands break up too. They try to do a full world, US tour that's not put together properly, and they lose money, and it kills morale. You're better off, less is more. Do the good shows, build it organically. And when you're ready to take on you'll know when you're ready to take on the world. The world will come to you,
What if someone wants to be a booking agent? What if someone wants to do this? How do you get into the business?
Well, most people, including myself, I kind of started out kind of half interning at the agency. Like in LA or New York, there's William Morris, CAA agency group. You can intern there and work in the mail room, or get coffee and be around it. And if you showed
initiative
and potential, you'll maybe get a desk, maybe get a couple smaller clients to work on, because every agency's got their really big clients, their medium, and then there's the baby bands. They'll take an intern after 3 months and go, you know what, Todd, we're going to give you a shot at this band. They've been hitting us up. See what you can do. And if Todd takes the ball and runs with it and gets that band some decent gigs, even though it's not life-changing money, it's going to bring him up to maybe a little bit of a bigger band. Or that band's going to grow with him, and they can all, and next thing you know, 3 years later, they're playing, selling out House of Blues.
People call you all the time, bands that aren't ready, bands that think they're ready and they're not ready. I mean, what do you say to them? How do you give them an honest appraisal without, being shitty?
I just say, I looked at all of it, and I don't see what I can do for you right now, and that's the truth. I can't do anything for you right now because you're not selling enough tickets. You don't mean enough for me to justify calling a club and convincing them to take you on a Friday night when you're going to draw 6 people. So you just got to be really careful about who you stick your neck out for, because a bad night's a bad night, and these venues, they're Fridays and Saturdays. That's their bread and butter. If they have a lemon of a night, they might not pay the rent the next month,
Right.
Not everything is a Live Nation House of Blues deal where there's endless money. A lot of these guys live paycheck to paycheck, and they need you to do well for them.
So the moral of this story is that the bands like Quiet Riot, Great White Slaughter, they have a brand, but that brand has been built up over decades of ups and downs, peaks and valleys, but the brand survives and the brand is worth money. You know what I mean? So, but a young band has to create a story.
You have to build your brand. Yeah.
You have to build it. And how do you do it? Well, you do it with streaming. You do it with social media. You do it by being able to sell tickets. You know what I mean? Creating a story around yourself and create relationships locally that will move you up the ladder. You start headlining clubs and bringing a couple of hundred people. That's the beginning slot. And then someone like you is going to, hey, I heard about like Liliac. You know what I mean? Same. It's the thing of this band that came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, they're on your agency. You know what I mean? And it's because of they did the work.
They did the work to build up a brand that all of a sudden we can all of a sudden sell. I mean, that's the thing. It's again, a booking agency's website is like a storefront. Whatever you're going to put in the window to get people in, it's got to be viable. It's got to be something we can sell. I mean, it's a lot of it again is how much the band itself will work. You need everyone in the band needs to hustle at first, because there's a million of you out there.
There's a million bands. Even back in my day, there were a million bands, and only a few got to rise to the top, and most of them didn't. Sometimes it's just bad luck. But a lot of times it's just they're not willing to go out every night and pass out flyers. They're not willing to network. They're not willing to hustle. And it is all about the hustle. Hustle is worth more than talent a lot of times. You know what I mean? It just is. So we're almost done with this Zoom thing. Any last words? Any last words you want to advice you want to give?
You know what? This is the biggest piece of advice I can give any band who is starting to work with an agent. Always pick one guy in the band to be the one to call the agent. There's nothing an agent hates more than having 4 guys from the same band call them about 4 different things and complain about some. Pick one guy to be the focal point, to speak for the band. There should be one guy speaking for the band, and that's huge.
Sounds good. Huge. Okay. Well, I will talk to you. You're on your way to a Hookers and Blow
rehearsal.
Train
We're
wreck.
gonna rehearse.
No, it's a train wreck in progress, but it'll be good. You guys are working, and I will see you in a couple of weeks with Quiet Riot.
Yes, you will.
All right. Take it easy, man.